Welcome back. We're here again with another baking video. This time it's gonna be a cookie recipe. I have been reading this book series by JoAnne Fluke. It is the Hannah Swenson murder mystery series. It's about a woman named Hannah Swenson who is a baker in small town Minnesota, and she keeps finding dead bodies everywhere. All the time. There's probably like, I don't know, 50 books that she's written in this series, and I'm 2/3 of the way through it. Each book has like 20 recipes, and a couple of the ones in this book were pretty interesting, so we're gonna do one of them today. And I don't know if you've ever had watermelon cookies. I have not, and they sound interesting, so that's what we're doing today, watermelon cookies. I have never made these cookies before, so we're gonna do it together for the first time. So I'm gonna get started baking these. If you're like me, you were probably wondering, how the heck do you use watermelon for cookies? That seems weird. We're not gonna use real watermelon. Hate to burst your bubble. We're gonna use some of this watermelon Kool-Aid. Pretty nice. Pretty easy. Has color in it, has flavor in it. I think they're gonna be pretty tasty. First step is mix the watermelon Kool-Aid with the granulated sugar. It says we need 1 package of watermelon Kool-Aid powder, or you can use any Kool-Aid powder you want. It doesn't have to be watermelon, but since these are watermelon cookies, we're using watermelon. But honestly, you could do blue raspberry, cherry, whatever flavor floats your boat. So the 1 packet of Kool-Aid. Then we need 1 2/3 cup granulated sugar, which is just the regular sugar. 1 cup, 1/3, and 2/3. It just says to mix it up, so I'm just gonna use a wooden spoon and stir it. The Kool-Aid isn't super dark yet, so I'm sure when we put the butter and the eggs and stuff in there, it'll pop a little bit more, but this is just looking like white sugar. The second step, add the softened butter and mix until it's nice and fluffy. For this, I'm gonna use my stand mixer. I feel like working in softened butter is easier that way. It says we need 1 1/4 cup softened butter, which comes out to be 2.5 sticks. I love butter. What would the world be if there wasn't butter? It would be tragic. Add the softened butter and mix until it's nice and fluffy. So let's turn that puppy on. I'm just gonna scrape down the sides of the bowl really quick because it's working its way up, getting a little scary. Also, it's turning pink. Okay, now that we've done that, it says to add in the eggs and mix well. And this recipe calls for 2 eggs, so we will do that. It says to beat them in advance, but I'm gonna take a risk and just toss them in the bowl. Yep. It says mix well. It smells so good, like freaking watermelon. It's like a Jolly Rancher in here. Okay, the eggs are mixed in. Now the next step is to mix in the salt and the baking soda. For salt, it says we need 1/2 teaspoon. I already measured that out. I think it's 1/2 teaspoon, not really sure. We're gonna put it in there anyway. And guess what? I use pink salt, so maybe it'll add a little bit more pink color. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Whoa, almost spilled it. Almost. Okay, I think that's mixed in enough. All right, this says to add the flour in 1/2 cup increments, mixing after each addition. So it says I have to do 3 cups, so that'll be 6 1/2 cups. There goes 1. 2. Smells like cake batter. Maybe I should make a watermelon cake. There goes number 3. Halfway there. 4. A lot of it's starting to get stuck to the mixer, so gotta make sure that you're mixing it all in there pretty well. How many was that? 4? So this is 5. And the last 1/2 cup going in. Okay, that's all mixed in. So it's kind of like a batter, a really thick batter, so it's a little hard to stir. If you have little ones, they probably won't be able to, but it looks pretty mixed. I think that these are going to need some watermelon seeds. Just my personal opinion. I did Google watermelon candies, watermelon seed candies, and they do sell them at like Amazon.com, but I Googled it today and I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna use some black sprinkles. They're jimmies, so they're like the big sprinkles, not the just dots. See how they work. I don't know how many to put in though, because like the recipe doesn't say to put any seeds in, so I'm just gonna wing it. See what that does. I think that's probably good. You might be able to do a little bit more, but it's got some color in there. I don't know if you can see it. All right, the next steps are to spray the cookie sheet with Pam or another nonstick cooking spray. You can also use parchment paper if you prefer. I have these wonderful baking mats. You need to get some if you bake cookies like ever because they're amazing. I'll show you. They look like this. They're just like a silicone mat, and no cookie has ever stuck to them. I even have done French macarons on these. They're amazing. Get yourself some, because seriously, life changer if you ever make cookies, ever. I don't know how many this is gonna make. It says approximately 6 dozen. That's a lot of cookies. We'll see what happens. But we're gonna start with 2 cookie sheets because that's all that I have. Roll the dough balls 1 inch in diameter with your hands. Mine is not rollable, I don't think. So we're just gonna use a spoon, wing it. It'll be great. It says we use a 2 teaspoon cookie scooper. I don't have that. I have like a 1/4 cup one, which is, I think it's this drawer. It is. So we have this one, and I think it's rather large. It's like an ice cream scoop. I don't want to use that. So I'm gonna use a regular teaspoon and then push it off the spoon with my finger. 1 inch in diameter, so that's pretty small, probably like, we're not ready yet. We got to roll the balls in the last ingredient on this list, which is a 1/2 cup of white sugar. We're gonna get a little bowl and we're gonna put the sugar in there so we could roll the dough. Is it rollable? I could probably roll it. Just gently. Roll it in the sugar, put it on here. We're gonna do that about 87,000 more times. I just realized that I forgot the very first step of this recipe. You have to preheat the oven. So I'm gonna do that now. Hopefully I can roll out 2 sheets worth of balls by the time it's preheated. It says to preheat the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Halfway done with the balls. The oven is at 165. I feel like some of them might be a little bit too big. We'll see how they bake, because I know bigger cookies take longer to bake. And we're not supposed to let these get brown at all. They're supposed to remain pink. For this first batch, I'll do some bigger, some smaller, and we'll see which ones come out better. All right, that's 2 dozen. Okay, I got them in the oven. My oven is like a normal size oven, so it doesn't fit 2 baking sheets side by side. So I put the rack, I have 2 different racks. I put them pretty close together in the middle of my oven. I do have a convection oven, so that's really cool. They should cook pretty evenly, but put them in the middle of the oven and I staggered them. So I put 1 on the top left and 1 on the bottom right. If you don't have a convection oven, you might want to swap them halfway through. My recipe says to cook them for 10 to 12 minutes. So if you don't have a convection oven, set your timer for 6 and then switch them and then 6 more minutes. But I'm just gonna do 10 minutes and see how they look. Maybe add a minute or 2 to the end of my timer. Okay, these are the first batch that I put in there. These ones were the smaller ones. I took those ones out right when the 10-minute timer went off, and I think they are perfect. They are just barely golden around the edge, like you can barely tell. They're firm, they hold their shape. These ones are the bigger ones, and they got a little bit more color around the edge. I don't know if you can see it. They're a little bit more brown. So here's one of the smaller ones you can see. So these ones have more pink to them. This one is a little bit more brown. I think they're both cooked well. These ones look a little darker in the middle, so I'm sure they're a little softer, which I prefer. Anyway, let's see what happens when we bite into it. A little crunchy on the bottom, soft and chewy, flavorful. Very interesting, definitely a summer cookie. I like it. So I think I'll roll the rest of them out the small size, and I'm gonna bake them for the 10-minute time frame. And I feel like that'll be good. Stay tuned next week, and I'll hopefully get another video out to you. Thinking of doing something chocolatey. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see some more videos from me. I also feel like I should probably do something savory soon, because 2 sweet ones. Time for something new. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.